We are mourning the loss of my right hand, whose name was Stacey Davis. Stacey left us just 2 days ago on Monday evening around 7:30 p.m. Stacey is survived by her mother, Sherry, her daughter, Lindsay Wunderlich, who was a wonderful bedside presence these last weeks, her dear son, Kyle, and her life partner, Michael Abbott, who supported her mission entirely. Of course, there are other family members I haven't mentioned. The last time I saw Stacey was Sunday evening. I sat next to her and read her 3 probable cause affidavits, cases that were scheduled and then either continued or were the subject of plea deals. I believe she appreciated it because she reacted even though she was in horrific pain. She never made any secret on this show that she was struggling with a battle against cancer. And I do hope someday that we can subdue that terrible disease. I read these probable cause affidavits to her as a way to distract her from the pain, a way to make things normal as she transitioned into another sphere where so many of us feel her son, Cody. He was struck down by a bullet to the chest in December 2016, and he was waiting for her. We're pretty sure that he was. Because of that horrible loss that no mother or father should ever live through, she made it her mission to help others in the same situation through investigations and trials.
My name is Stacey Davis, and I lost my son, Cody McCann, to murder on December 6th of 2016. It took weeks for it to really set in that he was even gone. 2 months later, I found myself still picking up the phone to call him to see if he was up for work, to make sure he was having dinner. I mean, the pain was undescribable, and dealing with his things and having to clean out his house, dealing with all of the stuff that the funeral home gives you. I couldn't even do it for several months. It took probably 6 months before I was able to even look at these things, his ashes, the stuff from the funeral home. This is a board that his friends put together. They had a little get-together the night before his funeral, and all of his friends got together and signed it and said their goodbye messages to him.
It's difficult to quantify the impact she had on the criminal justice system, and I know Mike agrees with me on this. Not just the families of the homicide victims, but the Allen County Prosecutor's Office started to rely on her when they brought in those families. Here's what Chief Deputy Prosecutor Tom Shaley said in a statement. This is just part of his statement. "I was always glad to look back and see her in the courtroom because I knew those families were getting good advice." Chief Counsel Tessa Helge, who also got to know her and relied on her, said this: "A rare person who truly understood both the way a death by homicide takes a forever toll on a family, as well as the way a murder case must travel through the criminal justice process." She was so fierce in her mission, she would contact the media and press them to cover stories, vigils, plea deals, whatever she thought was important. So many people have posted good and fond memories of their interactions with her on Facebook and Instagram and other social media. There was one person, however, who was not so fond of Stacey Davis, and that was her son's killer, Quentin Stewart. In his appeal found online, he admitted lying and blamed it on Detective Scott Tetmeyer, who was on Quentin Stewart's case, McCann's mother, we're talking about Stacey here, and the media. She was relentless in her search for justice. Stewart came close to avoiding prison, and here's what's important. Both Mike and Quentin Ellis, a defense attorney, can tell you, you can be a big help in your case. After the first trial ended in mistrial, she worked with Tom Shaley to refine the prosecutor's case to make it more visual to appeal to the jury. And in the second one, which was in December of 2020, there was a conviction.
One of the things between Cody and I was his hugs. He was 6'5", and when he wrapped his arms around me, it was just like a big bear hug, and I feel a little bit of that each night when I cover up with his blanket.
Sometimes we gloss over the life she had before all of this. She was a mama bear, as she called herself, with an executive position in the medical field, and she had an MBA on her resume. Stacey and I came up with the idea of the podcast because we wanted to focus on the criminal justice system. She was going to be kind of like my business partner. It was my hope that eventually she would go on camera, but we never foresaw this. In 2018, she had co-founded Justice Accountability and the Victim Advocacy, or JAVA, with Amy Miller Davis, who's no relation, and they used to hold monthly meetings. The group hounded the prosecutor's office if they didn't believe they were working hard enough to bring the case to trial, and Mike can tell you about that too. They got out their chalk to write messages on the courthouse slabs and in front of the Allen County prosecutor's office. Didn't make them so popular with the legal system here at first, although I'm sure some people appreciated it. I first recall meeting her at a chalking on a very, very cold night. I was looking to interview someone and kept being referred to Stacey Davis. Wait until Stacey Davis gets here. You've got to wait for Stacey Davis. I remember her face under the lamplight. It was shining. She was excited. It was purposeful. She was finally getting to do something she felt was worthwhile. The probable cause, as in Mike, myself, and our cameraman producer, Brock Eastham, send our condolences to their family. Her mother, Sherry, is one of our biggest fans. Stacey lives on through the song I wrote for this podcast, her contributions to the podcast, and all the stories she was a part of in this city. She won't be forgotten, and that's for sure.
Well, I mean, you kind of referenced that when she first started, she was not a, shall we say, a fan of how the criminal justice system operated. But you have to give her so much credit that she kept her mind open and learned as she went through this that it was not as simple as just filing a case. I think going through the first trial and getting a mistrial, she went through all the trauma a parent could have about losing a child, and then feeling the re-victimization of a jury not coming along with you. And I think that brought her some ways over to understand what our folks go through in preparing a case and getting it ready for trial, and how disappointing it is to us and to family members when it doesn't work out the way they want it to. And then she became a great communicator. I talked to Tom Shaley this morning, who did visit her in the hospital last week. And he said he had reached a point in cases, particularly on ones that we weren't able, that we didn't feel we had enough evidence to go forward on. And we certainly recognize how frustrating that is for the families of homicide victims. But because there's no statute of limitations, there's always that possibility, if there's other people that were aware or involved in it, that those people will someday come forward.
Right.
And we've had a lot of that happen. And Stacey was invaluable in explaining that process and the credibility that if I say it or one of our deputies say it, it sounds like you're just making an excuse. And Stacey has seen enough now in the last decade that when she told other families what was going on, they believed her. And it so much helped us.
Right.
So,
and she was really good to have on the podcast. And I only wish she could have continued, because she had a totally different perspective than I do and you do. And yeah, we're gonna miss her. There's no doubt about it.
More nights than not, every week, I dream either about the night that it happened, or he comes to me in my dreams. And when he comes to me in my dreams, it's usually one of his big bear hugs, and he's telling me everything's gonna be okay. I don't feel like everything's going to be okay until we get justice, until I get some closure. But Cody tries to let me know it's going to be okay.